Session 2 of our faculty development program explores the possibilities of computational data analysis. Mr. Noel Joseph Gomaz, Assistant Professor, SCMS School of Engineering and Technology with a specialization in mechanical engineering, is here with us to introduce the topic. He has many years of experience in the field of software programming and a very productive teaching. His research interests include rare feed gas flows, molecular dynamics, and hydrovortex power generator. On behalf of Internal Quality Assurance Cell, ST.XAVIER'S College for Women, Aluva, I welcome Mr. Noel Joseph Gomaz to this faculty development program, The Dynamics of Research, Prospects, Reflections, and Best Practices. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much for the wonderful words. I'm happy and I'm thankful to UGC Cell, ST.XAVIER'S College, for inviting me to this session. And I think I can just go ahead and start my presentation. Shall I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, as we usually start, I hope I'm visible and my screen is also visible to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the topic of this session is data analysis and computation. And what I intend to do is to go through some basics or some things that we can make use of in computation using Microsoft Excel. And the prerequisites for this session would be some basic knowledge in computer programming. Basic knowledge implies what I mean by basic knowledge is that you have an idea of what each of these statements of computer programming are. For example, if statement, else statements, things like that. And you have to have some idea about what Microsoft Excel is. That's what I try to do with this session. And the broad strokes of my session, I'll be talking about for your information, I'm just a mechanical engineer. I've done some experience. I've had some experience in software programming. For 5 years, I was in New Delhi, and later on, I did my master's in propulsion engineering, and only then did I start teaching. So, what the knowledge that I have about all these things are mostly self-learned.
Hello.
Sorry.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Saumi?
Hello.
Saumi, are you talking?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, it is not anything that I'm very expert in Microsoft Excel. The things that I'm going to go through here, discuss here, are some of the things that I make use of in my routine while teaching at SCMS. So so I'll be talking about the basic charts, how to go through charts in Excel, how to create a new chart, and some information about conditional formatting, things which might be of use to you for analyzing data, for sorting out some data points from your big chunks of data. And if time permits, I will go through Microsoft Word, some basic steps on mail merge and generating a table of contents in MS Word. I know this is not part of your data analysis, but if time permits, I can go through that, and I feel it will be very useful to you. Of course, it was useful for me, and I hope it will be useful to you as well. Okay. So just an introduction about Excel. Microsoft Excel is a spreadsheet processor. It was developed by Microsoft, and it is still going on. It is one of the most widely used data processors. Of course, there is the Google spreadsheets. Google Sheets have come up recently. But still, Microsoft Excel is the preferred software for data processing and for spreadsheet usage. And the features of Microsoft Excel includes calculation, graphing tools, some visual basic programming language. And this one, the last one given here, it is an advanced usage where you can actually write down code in VB Visual Basic. Visual Basic code can be put into Microsoft Excel using the developer tools, and you can write your own code if you require. But I'll not be talking about Visual Basic programming language because that is totally different session. Okay, so this is the UI, the user interface of Microsoft Excel. I'm sure everyone is good with this. Now I need to have some information on your proficiency in Microsoft Excel. And for that, I need you to fill up a Google form, if possible, so that I know where you all stand. So can I send a chat message here so that everyone can view it? Dr. Swami?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is. So I've sent a chat message on the chat. And you can click on it, and it will open up a Google form, which has just one question: your proficiency in Excel. So if you can fill that while I go through these slides, there are only a couple of more slides, and then I'll go to the Handson. So if you can do that, that will be very helpful for me to better optimize my session for your effectiveness. Okay, so this is the user interface, and if you would like to know, the user interface of Excel has changed a bit since its inception. And we have a lot of things here. We have the ribbon here, which is called as a ribbon. And, we have the cells. Obviously, the cells are there. I'll talk about all these things when I come to the hands-on session. Microsoft Word, talking about Word, it is simply a word processor.
Excuse me, sir. One participant has raised some hands.
Yes.
Binu, Miss Binu Korea, is there any problem?
Sorry, ma'am.
Okay, it's okay.
You want me to speak a bit louder?
A bit louder, it will be better, sir.
I think it would be better to increase your volume because I'm talking about at my max here. I'm so sorry. 1 minute. Let me just see if there is any settings that I need to change. Just a second. Is it okay now? Hello?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, thank you. All right. Yeah. So Microsoft Word, it has many features. It has templates, image formattings, word art, macros, layout, bullets and numbering, and some auto summarizes. So this is just an information. This is the interface for Microsoft Word. We'll come to that later. So I think we can go to our hands-on session, and I hope you have all filled the Google form. I have requested all of you to have a laptop. I hope you're all joining from your laptop and you have Microsoft Excel installed. Dr. Somi, does everyone
Yes,
have
sir.
their laptops?
Yes, everyone will have the laptop. Participants, please fill the Google form that is shared in the chat box, please.
I've received 38 responses. Okay, so
We have 91 participants.
This is the response screen. I hope you can see my screen. I've got 45 responses, and I think everyone can just gauge the proficiency level of each person. Most of them are in the advanced beginner level, so I think I can skip some of the basic things so that you can all have an effective participation. Okay, so that's cool then. All right. So I'll just share some files from my Google Drive, and if possible, you can download those files to your your local computer, your own computer. I'll send the link in the chat box right now. Okay, someone saying they have only mobile. So if you're using your mobile, I don't think this will be a very effective session for you because you'll just be viewing the things. Mr. Anuva, I guess, Anuva Bardhanan Bakhale. If you have your laptop, then this will be much more effective because then you can actually do your things that I'm talking about here. So that's all right. I've sent a Google Drive link. You can click on the link and then you can see a few files. You can see about 6 files and 1 reference card. You can download the 6 files to your own computer and then you can start working. I hope you can all speak to your microphones so that we can have an interactive session. I know it's in the afternoon, and an interactive session will be much more fruitful. If you're interested, that is. I don't want to force anyone, but if you can just open up your microphone and you can talk, then we could have a interactive session, which will be not be very boring for me and which will be interesting for you as well. So I hope that's possible. I'll also download these files. Can everyone access the Google Drive that I just shared? Google Drive link?
Yes, sir. We are downloading them.
Okay. I'll also download the same files and I'll start sharing each one of them. Obviously, I'll be going through all of the files. So I'll start with the first one. Okay, so the files might seem a bit very common thing. For example, I'm just analyzing test notes, but for your information, using Microsoft Excel to do your analysis can be done in more than one way. So the way I'm using to in my daily life to analyze the test marks or for attendance lookup or for monthly attendance in my college daily routine, you can also use the same thing to analyze your data depending upon what the data is. The only thing which you have to understand is the data that is being shown here is can be anything. The data can be anything. That's the point. And there is more than one way to solve a problem. Just open up the first file. If you can also do the same, then that would be great. Okay. So this is just dummy data. This is not actual data. And your data might seem different or might be the same. What is important is how we are going through this data. Okay. Okay, sure, I can repost it later. Yeah, most welcome. You can let me know once you are all done and we're all on the same page, and then I can start with what I'm trying to do. I hope you can see the Excel sheet that I've opened up. The first file, file number 1, analysis of test marks.
Yes, sir, we can see it.
Okay. So once everyone is done, maybe you can give a thumbs up in your chat box, and maybe I can go ahead if you would like some more time to download the files or to unzip it. Okay, so maybe we can take one more minute. It's 3:15, and we'll take one more minute, and then I can go ahead. Okay, so this is the Excel sheet that I've opened, and for your information, each of the things that I'm clicking here, this is called as a cell, CELL, and the way in which you identify a particular cell is by row and column. So the cell that I've just highlighted is the ETH column and the 6th row. And you can see it from the top left corner. You can see there E6 written here. So that is the naming of the cell. So this is E6, and the way in which Excel is set up is by analyzing data using rows and columns, like a matrix, if you would like to call that. And here, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find out or analyze the test marks that I've received for a particular test that I've conducted for my students. Now, like I said, you can use the formulae that I'm using or the way in which I'm using the formula to analyze your own data however you wish to. The point is to learn how to use Excel the way in which you like it. And there is more than one way to get a particular thing done. So right now, the marks that I have is out of 50. I hope you can see this, and you can see it in your own laptops as well. The marks that I have is out of 50. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to calculate the marks out of 20 or convert this mark into 20. So what I'm trying, so the formula that is to be entered here to convert this mark out of 50 into mark out of 20 is you divide the marks, you convert this mark according to the fraction. So the formula that would be done usually is equal. That is, whenever you enter a formula in a particular cell, this is the formula bar on the top right, just above the workspace. You can see a formula bar, and there you click on equal to, and you just select the cell which you want to convert the formula. So I'm trying to pick up the formula from the D column, so that is D4, and I multiply it by 20 and divide by 50. So that's all I'm going to do. Can you see what I'm doing here?
Yes,
So,
sir.
yeah, okay. So what I've just done is I've converted the marks in 24, which is 24 out of 50, into marks out of 20. So yeah, so what I've got is 9.6, and I hope my maths is correct. Yeah. So to just convert or to just apply the same formula to all the cells below, I can just pull up the handle here. You can see at the bottom you have a fill handle. We call it as a fill handle. Yeah, this is called as a fill handle. So you can just click on that handle and you can draw it downwards. You can click on that and just pull it downwards, and you can see that the values are all filled in. Can you do that in your own laptops with your own files? Can you do that? Or is this?
So can you say it once again?
Yeah, I'll just do it once again. So I hope you have done this formula. If you want, you can just input the formula. I'll send this in the chat here. You can just input this formula. You can just copy this formula and input it on the in the cell that I'm talking about, in the ETH cell, E4, the cell E4. You can just double click on the cell, and then you can edit the contents of the cell, and you can type with D4 multiplied by 20 to enter 50. Have you done that?
Actually.
I'm maximum. I'm at 175% zoom. I think it would be better to increase.
It's okay, sir. You have given the formula in the chat
Okay.
box.
Yes. Okay. So at the bottom of the cell, at the right bottom corner of the cell, you can see a small fill handle. We call that as a fill handle. And click on that cell, and the fill handle will be open there. You can see the fill handle. If you bring your mouse closer to that cell, closer to the fill handle, you can see that the cursor turns up into something different. It turns it into a plus sign. So you can just click on that. You can left click on the fill handle, and you can drag it downwards. You can just drag the formula of the cell, or you can drag the cell downwards till the last column, or to the last row. Sorry, to the last row, and you can see that the formula updates itself for all the individual rows. What happens in E16 and E48? E16, yeah. Okay, so that is an error. E16, the mark of the student is actually absent. So the student was actually absent. So the Excel cannot compute text entry into a math, cannot convert the text entry into a math entry, and therefore it shows up as an error. That is an error. So you can actually do an error checking here if you would like to. So to do that, you can use another formula. So I'm going to type the formula here. You can just notice the formula bar that I'm going to. You can click on the formula bar right next to the equal to sign, and you can type a formula. You can just type using your keyboard if error. And you can see that as soon as you start typing the formula, Excel autofills. Please explain the formula again. Okay, the formula is simple math. You can, to get the formula. Sorry. Hello.
Sir, you may continue, sir.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, to explain the formula, I think it's actually quite simple. You can see the formula on the top, the formula bar. It is actually whatever the contents in cell D4. This is cell D4, where I have the mark as 24. And the cell, whatever content in cell D4 multiplied by 20 divided by 50, or you can use it another way, divided by 50 into 20. So I'm just trying to convert what the marks out of 50 into marks out of 20. I think I hope my maths is correct. The mathematicians here can just let me know if I go wrong in any way. Okay. So yeah, you filled everything. Is this clear for everyone? What I'm explaining?
Yes, sir.
How do you activate the formula bar at the top? Okay, you can just click on a particular cell, and then you can go click on the formula bar. If you don't have a formula bar, you can just you see the formula bar at the top. Yeah, okay. So you can just go click on the particular cell that you would like to edit, and then click on the formula bar. So right now I'm going to try to fix up the error that is coming here in cell E16 and E48, as mentioned by one of the participants. So to just make up for that error, I'm going to use a new formula, which is if error. That is the function if ERROR, if error, and you can open the bracket. And as soon as you open the bracket, you can see that Excel autofills or auto completes, or it gives you a what do you call a help sort of help text there. It shows that if error, the first value that you have to enter is the actual value. So that is already given there. And what should Excel do if the value returns an error? So if the value returns an error, so in this case, I know that the error came there because instead of a mark, I entered AB. absent to indicate the student was absent. So I can just write here if error and the formula that was there. The opening quotes, inside the quotes I can write absent. So the reason why I'm writing absent inside the quote is to let Excel know that this is a string. This is a string. I hope you understand what is meant by a string. Indicated we require some basic programming idea or basic programming knowledge to go through this session. So I am unable to edit, need permission. I'm sorry, this is, you need to do that in your own computer. I'm not controlling your permission. It is on your own local computer. If the file is view only, you need to change the settings in your own computer. Sorry, I can't help it. Is it the case for everyone, or is
no, sir, it is okay for us.
okay?
Maybe some issue with their system.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what the issue is with your system. Perhaps there is a certain.
Okay, sir.
Right. Okay. So right now I have updated the formula bar to encounter the error that is there. So again, if I've updated the first row in this particular table, and now again I have to do the same thing that I had done earlier. I click on the fill handle and I drag it downwards till the last row. And then you can see that the errors that were shown in cells E16 and E48 have been changed into absent, because I had written in the function that if the particular formula that I had written there, D4 multiplied by 20 divided by 50, if that formula returns an error, then I should replace that error, or if it returns an error, I should just write it as absent. So that is what I have done here. I'll just send the formula in the chat box. If you can just try to input this in your screen, in your own screen. It actually works. Is everyone okay with this till now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is how formula works in Excel, and there are many number of formulas in Excel. If you can come to on the ribbon, you have many tabs on the ribbon. You have home, you have insert, you have page layout, you have formulas, and then there are many number of formulas for the mathematicians. Here we have math and trigonometry. Many formulas here for the financial specialists. Here we have many formulas now that I work with on a daily basis. So it is up to you to search or to use these formulas to your own interest. You can. I just showed you the way in which someone enters a formula in Excel. So you can go to the Excel help, and you can find out what formula you need to do a particular to solve a particular problem, and then you can simply go to the help file and find out how formula works, and you can just enter the formula in each cell that you require. I hope I am making myself clear. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So one more formula that people require normally is to round up these values. Here it is 9.6. Obviously, I don't want to penalize the student by removing the 0.6. So I would like to round it up. So there is another function in Excel to round up the values. So I come to click on the cell and I click on the formula bar. And there I click on the formula bar and I move the cursor right next to the formula that I had written there. That is after the parenthesis of if error. So right after the open parenthesis, I again update the formula to round. So that is it is rounding up the formula. So round, and then I open the parenthesis, and it says the first one is the number and the second one is the number of digits. Now the number of digits is actually your the digits in the decimal, the number of decimals. So I don't need any decimals, so I just put it as 0. I don't want any decimals, so I click it, and I close the function, close the parenthesis, and I hit enter, and then you can see that the function is updated to show the values as rounded up. So 13.6 has changed to 14, and 9.6 has changed to 10. I'll just send the formula once again.
Sir, once again, explain roundup formula.
Okay, round formulas is pretty simple. I'll just use another cell here. I'm typing 9.4 here. Okay, if you want, you can do it in your own system as well. So I need to round this value, this 9.4, the value 9.4. So on the next cell or wherever cell you wish to find the rounded up value, I type equal to, and I type the function round, R-O-U-N-D. I open the parenthesis, and it shows the number. Which number should I round up? So the number which I wish to round up is the value in cell H3. So this is the value which I want to round up, and then the number of digits to which I will need to round this. So number of digits. If you require more number of digits, you can just say 1, 2, or 3. In my case, I don't need any digits. I need to just round it up into the nearest integer. So I just hit 0, and I click enter. I close the parenthesis and I click enter. So you can see that 9.4 is rounded up into 9. And if I change this value on H3, round. Okay. So the next thing is.
Excuse me, sir. Is there
Yeah.
any function we can change the value into round off to hundreds?
Yeah, for that, that is, so that means you are actually any value 200, you are actually moving into ceiling. And ceiling is actually you are trying to seal the function to the next higher integer or next higher significance which you require. So I'm just going to type up ceiling, open the parenthesis, select the number, and write 100 here. So it goes up to the higher value. Or you can also floor it. That is, if you want to bring it to the lower value, you can type the function floor and select the number H4 significance. If I want to floor it to the 50th next below, so it comes up to 50. So if I obviously if I type it as
Thank you, sir.
25,
Thank you.
then that should be. So there are many other functions. So it is not that these functions were known to me. That is why I mentioned it to you. But there can be many functions, and you are most welcome to explore the functions that are given here in the formula tab of your ribbon. Ma'am, I think someone's waiting in the. Fine. So I hope this is clear for everyone. Shall I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the next thing what I would like to talk about is the if-else statement in programming. So I just share. Okay. So an if-else statement is normally written as if a particular condition, and you write the you complete the if loop. So what should this program do if the condition is true? If this particular whatever condition you write here, if it is true, it will be going through this. If it is false, you go to the else loop. So if it is false, you write up some functions here, and then the program executes the function in the else loop. There is also another loop which you normally use in programming, that is the if-else if. So you have the if function, if command, you write down the statements, and then you have else if, and then another what do you call condition, and then followed by another set of statements. And you can also have nested if loops. That means you have a condition, and in the else condition, you have again another if. It goes up another condition, and again it has an else if. So if you're familiar with this type of statements, you can the next formula that I'm going to talk about here. So the formula that I'm going to talk about here. Can you see my spreadsheet? Sure. Can you see my spreadsheet?
Now the whiteboard is visible.
I'll just share my spreadsheet. Now?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm trying to find out the grade for these students here. Okay. And to find out the grade, I'm trying to use an if-else condition. Now, there are many other ways to find out the grade for a particular student. You can use a lookup function, or many other functions are there. I told you my intention is to introduce you to some of the functions or some of the formula and the ways in which you can write formula in Excel. So if you scroll up to the bottom of my spreadsheet, I've got many grades here, and I'll just copy up these grades so that I can see it where I'm typing the formula. So I'm just copying it up and I'm going to paste here. Okay. So what the the grades are set up in such a way that if a student has less than 45%, he is actually a fail. He gets an F grade. Above 45%, but less than 50%, he gets a pass, and so on and so forth. So I have marks out of 50 and I have marks out of 20. So the most easy way to do this would be to just find out the marks out of 100. You can find out the marks out of 100, and it's pretty simple. Actually, you can just multiply the marks out of 50 with 2, and if you can do that, it would be great. You can type equal to, select the value, which in this case it is D4. You multiply it with the star, multiply it with 2, and you get the value out of 100. And you can drag it down, and the formula updates itself in the rest of the conditions. Again, the value error comes up because it is absent there. So I will update the formula if error. Let me know if I'm going too fast. I'm sorry, because of the shortage of time. I'm just speeding up, and there are many people here who are proficient enough to understand these things. That's why I'm going at fast. If you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt me. I'll be happy to help. Okay, so I have the marks out of 100. Has everyone done till now? Shall I go ahead? Hello.
It's done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So the next thing to do would be to write the if and the nested if. So to do that, I'm going to come to the cell which I would write to get up the grade, which is F4, cell F4. And before starting any formula, you need to put equal to. So that means it is now we input a formula. So here, I'm going to start from the bottom. So if this particular mark, in this case 100, the marks out of 100. So if this mark is less than 45, so it says if the first number should be logical test. That means that is the condition. And you hit a comma, you write a comma, and the next value should be the value that needs to be input there if this is true, if the condition that I've just written down is true. So the condition here in this case, so if the value is less than 45, then the student should have a grade F. So I type equal to if H4 less than 45, comma F. And if it is false, then that means he has the grade which is above. He has a grade which is above 45. So, but I don't know which one. So I again go to another if condition. So this is the nested if. So again I type if, and again open parenthesis. Again H4 is less than. Now the next slab is 50. So if it is less than 50, he gets a grade of pass P, comma, if, again if, in the else condition, and if H4 is less than, the next is 60. So if it is less than 60, he gets a grade C, comma, if H4 is less than, what is the next grade, 70, he gets a grade B, so, comma, if, I'll send this formula for your convenience. So if H4 is less than 70, so 80, he gets a grade B plus. There's the quotes. If H4 is less than 90, sorry, next is 85. 85, he gets a grade of A. If H4 is less than 90, it's a grade A plus. The next condition, if it is false, so all the other conditions are taken care of. So the next condition is obviously O grade. And there is another condition also here which is absent. So you need to take care of the absent as well. If you would like to do that, I can show you what is done. So before that, the O grade is done. So you need to close all the parentheses ahead of the if conditions. So I just the first parenthesis, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one, sixth one, seventh, last one. I hit enter and the grade comes up here. So the student in this case has scored 48 marks, which means he has passed, but he doesn't have a C grade. So I can just drag the handle, fill handle downwards, and the grades of all the students are updated. So here you can see an error. I'll just send the equation in the chat box, so that you can all paste a particular cell. Please ensure that you copy and paste in the correct cell, in the F4 cell, so that the function gets updated. Have you done this?
So here in the case of absence,
Yeah.
it graded as came as O.
Yeah, that is the error. That's what I was going to talk about. So the issue here is in the last else condition, I've written as well. So any grade above, or if it encounters all these, if it crosses all these conditions, and any condition outside this is treated as O. So that is not actually true. That is actually an incorrect. That is an error, because in the else condition there should be a condition to treat absent as well. Understand? So so what we can do is you can just write here. So in the else condition, here we can edit the formula to include another condition. So if it's false, if it is less than 90, so this O. Again, if in parenthesis H4 is less than 100, sorry, is there 100 here? There is 100. So if it is less than 101, then he gets O, and if it is false, then he gets an absent. I hope this clears up the issue. Let me just check. Yeah. So that means I've treated for all the conditions. I made sure that the if loop goes through all the conditions and does not miss out any condition. And the problem with if is that if you don't count for all the conditions, then it can go into the else condition. So that is something that programmers normally take care of to ensure that all the conditions are met and all the conditions are accounted for.
So, but we
if
haven't typed else here. We just put a comma. And
else, yeah, because for an if condition, for an if function, you can see if I type if, for the formula itself says that you don't need to type an else condition. It simply says what is the value if it is true and what is the value if false. So if can have only two conditions, true or false, either true or false. So you don't need to write an else condition as you would write in a program. You can just separate it with the comma, and Excel understands that it is actually an else condition. Understand? Do you follow?
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So the grades are all come up here. You can see that absent is marked as absent, and all the other grades are here. 100 for student who scored 100 marks received an O grade, and you can see that all the grades are here. So if you come up till here, maybe I can go to the bottom of the screen of the Excel sheet and fill up the count for the number of O grades received here. Let me know if you're done and if I can go ahead. Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. Sir,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, I hope all of you have your Excel sheets updated with what I'm seeing on my screen. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask. I can help in any way I can. Okay.
Okay, sir, you can go ahead. It will take time to finish all.
No, the thing is, only if they finish, can we go into the next part, which is, so I'm going to introduce another function here, the count function, the countDiff function, to be clear. So once you've done this, you can just copy and paste the function that I've written here. I've sent it in the chat box. You can just select the whole function and you can copy it and you can click on
The cell number may not be the same if
Cell number
they are
is the
not
same.
using the
cell number is the same because I've downloaded the same file that you have downloaded.
Okay.
Sir, excuse me.
Yes, please.
Sir, I just copied the same formula and I tried in my Excel sheet, but I'm getting all the grade as F.
You have to change the cell, then you may have used a different cell. I had the same problem, Shruti.
Ma'am, I used in the F grade cell itself.
Yeah.
Ma'am, can you do me a favor and present your screen so that I can see what the issue is?
I think
The problem is she may have used different cell. That's the issue.
Okay, I'll try in the next cell. I'll try, sir.
You select that number, Shruti.
Okay.
Where actually is your 48? In which cell? It may not be H. So you have to change that H.
Okay. I'll try.
You input the formula that I've just sent. If error D4 multiplied by 2, absent. You select that formula and update it with the H4 cell. H4 cell.
Okay, sir. I'll try.
That would help. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So at the bottom of the screen, you can see that I'm trying to get the count of the students who have received each of the grades. So before going into that, there is something called as cell references. So you can see here in the F4 cell, the value that is taking it is from H4. That is in the same row. And if I move to the next cell, that is F5, you can see that the cell reference has also changed. It is now H5. So if you can just double click here, you can see that it is showing up H5. So what Excel is doing is it is intelligently trying to ensure that the cell reference is the same, whatever you do. So this is what Excel does. So you can see that if you go to the bottom of the screen, at the last row, you can see that it is now if H53 less than 45. So that means it is on the same row. So there is something called as relative reference and absolute reference. So I'll just show you what I'm trying to do here. So I'm trying to find out the number of O grades. So to do that, I'm going to use the formula equal to count if, and if you just type it, you can see that Excel gives you a screen tip. It counts the number of cells within a range that meet the given condition. So count if is the function that I'm going to use. I'm going to open the parenthesis, and it asks for a range. Range means in Excel, range is from cell to cell. So in this case, my range is I select the first cell, in this case F4, and I drag it downwards. Mind you, this is not the fill handle. I'm just selecting the rows from F4 to F53 of the column F, and that is my range. Okay. And the second condition of the second argument of countif function is criteria. So I enter comma, and my criteria is the value should be equal to O. So I select the cell A59 in this case, which has the value O. And if you can close the parenthesis, and you can see that it has come up with 5 O grades. There are a total of 5 O grades. If you want, you can count it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We have 5 O grades in this cell range, and that is being shown here. I'll just send the formula. Before I send the formula, I need to update it. There will be an error if I just drag the handle downwards. You can see that if I drag the fill handle downwards, it is actually showing an error. It is actually not correct. Why? Because the range is changing. You can see that in the formula bar, you can see that the range in the first case is F4 to F53, and the second cell is now F5 to F54. So what Excel did was it understood that I had changed one row, I had moved one row to bottom. So that means it should change its range as well. So I need to ensure that Excel doesn't do this automatically, and it needs to have the cell range as constant. Cell range should be fixed. So to do that, you can use another functionality in Excel, which is the $sign. So you can click on the cell B59 in this case, and you can come to the formula bar, and in front of each of the what do you call cells, so you can see F4, I hit $F and $4. And similarly for F53, I write F and $53. And if I click enter, you can see that I click enter, and you can drag the formula downwards. You can see that the $sign, the range doesn't change, only the criteria is changing. So the range is the same and the criteria is changing. I can just send the formula in the chat box. There. So the $sign implies that I don't want the cell reference to change as I update the formula, as I change the reference to the formula, the range shouldn't change. The range should be absolute reference, and the dollar symbol is used for absolute reference. So in this case, I've made sure that the row as well as the column doesn't change, even if I change the formula for the countif function. I hope we are clear here. Can you do this?
We have absentees, but here it is ABC.
Yeah. The thing is, the issue was, it is trying to match up the grades, and we don't have AB in this particular range. We have only absent A, B, C, and D. So to do that, either you can type here absent, and then it should show up as 2 absences. Okay. I hope you understood that. I don't know who asked the question.
Yes, sir.
So I hope this much is clear for you guys. I'm sorry if I'm a bit casual in this case. I don't want it to be a monotonous session.
So will it affect whether we are writing it in a capital letter or small letter?
No, it doesn't affect.
The entire word should be there. That's the only criteria, is it?
That's the only criteria. The entire word should be, the cell content should be the entire word. You can, if you want, you can change. You know, I said I'm not. Yeah, it doesn't affect. Capital or small letters doesn't affect. The case doesn't affect. Any other questions? Count formula for grade, please. Yeah. Count formula. That is the formula that I just sent. This is the count formula for the grades to find out the number of grades that the entire class, in this case, class of 50 students. This much is clear for everyone?
Yes, sir.
And then there are a few other functions. You can try it on your own if you would like. The total. So in this case, I use the function sum. So if you do sum, open the parenthesis and select the range, this particular range D4 to D53, and it shows up the sum. For the maximum, you have the function max. Select the range, some range. The maximum mark here in this case is 50. So instead of selecting the entire thing, you can also type it up. So in the case of average, you will type average. The function is D4, cell range is D4 to D53. Set up the average. Minimum equal to min, D4 to D53. And if you would like to extend the same function to all the next cell as well, you can just select the entire range, that is all these functions, all these cells, cell D54 to D57. I select the bottom fill handle, I just drag it to the right, and the cell gets updated. So now on the right hand side, we have the marks out of 20, the maximum, the total marks of 20. Fair enough? Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The other thing that we can do is to find out the pass percentage. It's pretty simple. We can just find out the number of count all these things other than F, and then just divide by the total, and you get the number of pass percentage. So equal to sum. The total pass. Sum. Okay, so that's simple. I hope everyone are okay with this. Shall I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Any questions that you have?
Go ahead, sir.
Okay.
Actually, we can give the YouTube video link to the participants so they can practice it later also.
Oh, fine. Okay, cool. Okay. So the next thing that we would like to do is to have a chart or a bar chart of number of grades so that it is easily viewable and understandable. So to do that, you can come to the insert tab, and you can see there is a chart section here. So you can first select the range. In this case, I select all the grades that are here. We have O grade, A plus, A, B plus, B, C, A, P, F, and absent. I select those ranges as shown here, and I click on recommended charts. If you don't know what chart you want to display, you can get the help of Excel, and Excel shows up the recommended charts. What type of chart you would like. You can choose the chart which you would like. In this case, I'm going to need a bar chart. So I select on the bar chart and I click OK, and the bar chart comes up. So there are many other charts in this case. If you can just look at the chart tab, there are many other charts. You can So in the same way, you can select the data which you would like to represent in the chart, and you can click on insert tab, and click on the recommended charts, and the chart comes up. And in the chart itself, there are many other functions. There are many other formats which you can have. You can change the visual appearance of the chart, however you like. There are many chart styles that are listed here. You can again have a quick layout. You can change the layout of the chart. It depends upon what you would like to have to analyze your particular data. So this is a very simple way, and this is a very simple chart, a basic chart. There are many other charts. You are most welcome to explore the charts that are there in Excel, and Excel has very good charting capability. You can make use of to the maximum if you know what you're doing. So I recommend you use the Microsoft Help Forum to find out the number of charts or the way in which a particular chart is to be used. I hope this is clear for you. I'm
Yes,
not sure
sir.
if you're actually doing this in your computer, because I'm going quite fast. And, let me know if you have any issues. If you want to remove the chart title, you can just select the chart title and hit delete, and the chart title goes away. Or if you would like to enter a particular title, you can just double click and type whatever title you want. Edit the title as well. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So that is all with this particular file. We can go to the next file to find out more about conditional formatting. So I'm just going to close this. That will stop my share. Of the next file, which is attendance lookup. Okay, so we're not going to go to conditional formatting yet. We're going to look at lookup, VLOOKUP, and HLOOKUP. I'll share my screen once again. Okay, so VLOOKUP is the first function that we're going to learn about. So in our college, what we have is we have a attendance follow-up. So if a student is absent on a particular class, we try to get in touch with his parents or with himself or herself, and find out why he was absent. So that is why I started using this particular function. Now, you need not be using this function in the same way that I'm using. You can use it to look up any of your data. Like I said, I'm just talking about the functions here, which I am using for my own daily use. You can use it in any way you please, and you can just use this as a help. So in this case, normally what we have in a particular class is you have the roll numbers of the absent students. So in this case, for the time being, I just have roll number 3 and 7 who are absent. So I need to find out the name of the student. So normally the LMS, the learning management system these days, will help you to get the name of the student right away. But I prefer my own way so that things can be worked out at my end. So that is why I'm going to use this particular function, VLOOKUP. So as usual in Excel, before you type in any formula, you hit equal to, you type VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP, and VLOOKUP has got 1, 2, 3, 4 arguments. The first one is the lookup value. So the way in which this works is I want to find out the name of the student who has the roll number 3. So VLOOKUP, and the lookup value in this case is 3, the roll number. So I click on that cell. So the cell automatically gets populated, 83, that is the cell. And the next is the table array. So from which table should I pick up the lookup value? So the table in this case is from the previous sheet. So the table here is not in this particular sheet, it is in the previous sheet. So I click on roll list on this sheet, and I select the cells from the first roll number to the last roll number and to the entire table. So in that case, I'm selecting the entire range of cell from A3 to G51. So that is the last row in the last column and the first row in the first column. So that would mean the first cell and the last cell. So select those this particular range, and like before, the range shouldn't change even if I change the cell reference. So I need a absolute reference in this case. So I hit $A2, $2, $G, $51. That means the cell reference is absolute. And the index number, that is which column should I pick up the value that I'm looking for. So you can see here that this particular range that I had selected has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns. It has got 7 columns from A through G. And I want the student name, and the student name is in the second column. So that is my column index. So the second column is the column from which I need to pick up the value corresponding to roll number 3. And I just write 2 there, and I go to the next argument, which is the range lookup. So do I need an approximate match or an exact match? So in my case, I need an exact match. And the way in which VLOOKUP works is if it doesn't have the value that you have given it, then it tries to bring you an approximate match if the value is set as true. So you need to type in false here in this case, SC false, and close the parenthesis, hit enter, and you can see that number 3 is Mr. John in this case, and his name has showed up here. I'll just send this in the chat box. Now, as usual, I click on the fill handle at the bottom. I drag this downwards. I get the values. So here again, there is no value written here. That is why not available has been written in the cell. I will just fill with the number. VLOOKUP has brought up the name of the student who has. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you getting this? Are you able to do this? Are you able to do this?
Yes, sir.
So that is how VLOOKUP works. And if you need the other data, you can just set up the other data. You can just change the column index number to the various other data. So the data need not be the same in your case. Whatever reason you are using Excel to analyze your data. So, but you can use lookup. There is another function called as HLOOKUP. So lookup is another function which does a horizontal lookup. So VLOOKUP is actually the vertical lookup, and HLOOKUP is the horizontal lookup. So just like VLOOKUP gives you the column, HLOOKUP will give you the row. So that is what the difference between VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. So if you're okay with the use of the function VLOOKUP, go to the next function. Since receiving response, I assume either everyone is done. Size numbers listed on the form, axles, bearings, and bolts. I'm trying to look up the axles, bearings, and bolts for a particular size number that I enter in this particular cell, B1 in my case. So I have, let's assume that I need to look up the value of 8 or the values that are given here. So I'll try to go through one more function here. Let's look up as well as data validation. Data validation is something which would come very useful to you if you're trying to ensure that a particular data or only certain type of data, certain values of data should be entered in a particular cell. So to do that, you can select the cell, in this case, the cell B1. I come to data, and there is something called as data validation. And you click on this data validation, and it shows what is the validation criteria. And the combo box that shows up here is allow any value. So that is not what I want. I want the values to be only the values that are listed in the previous sheet. So I click on the drop-down menu. I click on list, and it shows me the source. What is the source which I want? So I can click on this this button. And I can go to the previous sheet, which is data, and only these types of data should be entered in that particular cell. So I select this cell, and you can see that the absolute reference is what is picked up, A2 to A14. And once I've selected it, I click enter, and I do OK. You can see that there is a fill handle, there is a drop down that is showing here, and I can click it. It will only allow data that is there in the previous column, in the first column of the previous sheet. So I can select 6, and that comes up there. If I try to enter any other data other than this, for example, if I try to enter 14, it will not allow me to enter 14. It says this value doesn't match the validation restrictions defined for this cell. So this is one way in which you can do data validation by letting Excel know that a particular kind of data should be entered there. There are many other options for data validation. You can make use of, you can explore the data validation function and use it to your own minds. So I'm going to do an H lookup. So access equal to H lookup. The lookup value is the size number. So in this case, called cell B1, and the table array is the table in the previous array. So select from the first row of the first column to the last row of the last column. That is the table array, and the row index number. The row index number. So in this case, the row index number from comma 2. The row index number is the size number itself. So that is the size number. Range. In this case, it is false. So corresponding to 6, the size number 6, the axle is sorry. Something got wrong. The lookup value, sorry, the lookup value should be axles. So that is the lookup value that I'm going to look at. Axles, comma, the table array should be the entire table, starting from the first row of the first column. That should be a dollar.
Saumi?
Sir, can you unmute yourself?
I didn't mute myself. I think someone unmute. Okay,
No,
understood.
when
Understood.
I muted, you were also muted.
Okay, understood. No problem. Thank you. So P1, comma, the range lookup is false. So here you can see that corresponding to the size 6, the axle, okay, sorry. So corresponding to size 6, the axle is number 9. I'll tell you what is happening here. So the edge lookup, it looks up the value in A2, which is axles in this case. So here you can see that the top row is the header, which is showing the size number, axles, bearings, and bolts. So from the axle column, it is trying to pick up the size number corresponding to number 6. So in this case, it is actually finding out the rows. So you can see that number 6 is on the 7th row. It is on the 7th row. So the size number 6 is on the 7th row. That is why I had to add 1 here. So this is B1 plus 1, so that the formula knows that I'm looking at the row number 7. And by doing this and by adding an absolute reference for the B1 cell, I can just drag it here, and the bearings and bolts corresponding to size 6 will be coming. You can see 9, 11, and 14. So here we have 9, 11, and 14. And if I try to change, if I want to select another size, I can just simply click here and I select size 10, and the lookup automatically populates the axles, bearing, and bolts corresponding to size number 10. I hope this is clear. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is about H lookup. I'll just send the formula for your convenience in the chat box. You can try it out at the time. Okay. Now I'm going to the next file, which is file number 3. I don't think I'll be getting time to discuss the other function because I'm coming close to the time. So we're already at 4:20. Okay. So this is a particular attendance for a particular month of a particular class. And in my case, whoever has an attendance less than 75 means he's ineligible to write the exam. So by looking at this data, it is impossible for me to quickly find out who has an attendance below 75. And in this case, conditional formatting would be very useful to us. So to use conditional formatting, what I need is I need to select the range. So in this case, I select the range from cell C2 to the last row, last column. So the entire range where I want to find out who has an attendance less than 75%. So once I've selected this, I come to this particular icon here called as conditional formatting. I click on conditional formatting, and I've got many cells here. So I can highlight the cells, or I can have a top 10, top bottom rules. I can have data bars. I can have color scales. I can have icon sets. Now you can use all these as per your convenience. Right now, I'm going to just highlight whoever has an attendance less than 75%. So I click on this less than icon. I type in 75 here. You can see that it is going to be highlighted with light red fill with dark red text. You can have many other options here, and then just go with the first option. You can use it as you please. And I select OK, and then you can see that all the students who have a shortage of attendance are shown up here, and it is easily spottable or easily understandable by whoever is looking at this data. Now, this is a very small data set, as you could imagine. In your case, the data sets could be very large, and I'm sure you can use the conditional formatting to very good use to find or easily spot the data which you are looking for. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That was quite easy.
Yeah. Okay. So if you've done this, then there are many other options in condition formatting. There could be more than one formatting for a particular cell. If you select the condition formatting, you can come to the bottom. There is a button called as Manage Rules. Click on that, and it shows up the formatting that is currently active, or rules that are currently active in a particular selection in this case. Or if you would like the for rules for this worksheet, you can just change the combo. And if you would like, sorry. Or if you would like to edit the rule, you can click on the edit button. If you would like a new rule, you can select that. Or if you would like to delete the rule, you can also do that. And then that will goes away. So this is one way to use condition formatting. You can also use conditional formatting to show icon sets. You can have an icon here.
Excuse
So-
me, sir. Is it possible to get all the students who have the less than 75% attendance in a separate table? We can get it.
Yeah, for doing that, I'll show you. For doing that, you need to use the filter function. There is a filter function. This was not included in my presentation, but for your convenience, I'll do it here. So I'm going to just find out whoever has an attendance less than 75. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to add a new column here. So shortage, I'm going to equal to count if the same function that I had used earlier, and the range is this particular range, and the criteria is less than 75. So if this value is, so this is 0. Why? Because the student does not have any shortage. You can just drag down the cell, and you can see that there are some students, or in this case, this particular student has got a shortage in one subject. So I've got this shortage list now. Now I convert this into, I select the entire range, and I use the filter function. I have the filter function. Select the filter function from here, and you can see that there is a handle coming up here. There is a drop down. I select that, and I select all the or I want to display the students who have one or more subjects having shortage. So I deselect 0, select OK, and you can see that here the students have come up who has attendance less than 75 for at least one subject. I can do something else also here. I can perhaps highlight the remove the condition formatting. If I'm going too fast, it's trying to complete for some time. So here you can see that at least if a student has got less than 75% in at least one subject, his name will be coming up here. I hope this is what you were asking.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So that is how you use the filter function. Filter function is also very useful for us to filter out the data which you are looking for. And you can easily spot the data. You can analyze your data using this filter function. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think I'll be getting time to go through the MS Word part of this session. I think I'll have to wind up here with the conditional formatting function of Excel. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I'm not sure if this was effective for you, but I would definitely like your feedback on this particular session. I've tried to do this as judiciously as possible, but I would like your honest feedback. I'm sending a feedback link. This is for my own personal use. I'd like to try to improve if possible. So if you can fill up the Google form, which I've just sent in the chat box, and let me know if this was effective for you, if this was useful for you. I'd be happy to improve at a later session if possible. I thank IQAC Cell, St. Xavier's College, Aluva, for inviting me to this session. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Noel Gomaz has explained some of the important features of Excel, such as how to grade students, how to take the monthly attendance, etc. And he also tried to give a hands-on training for the same. But all may not be able to complete it here. Those who could not complete it here can watch the video of this session and practice. The link for the video will be shared soon in the WhatsApp group. Questions can be asked by unmuting your mic, or you can post the questions in the chat. Participants, you may ask any additional questions here. If there are no questions, we will move on to next program. I invite Dr. Jobin Matthew, Assistant Professor in Zoology, CMS College, Kottayam, to propose the vote of thanks. Dr. Jobin, over to you.
Good evening, one and all. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir.
Respected resource person, Dr. Noel Gomaz, and dear participants. We had a very informative and interesting hands-on section on computational data analysis. I am pretty sure that the precious knowledge that Dr. Noel Gomaz gave us will definitely help us